cocking his gun to shoot at me because I don't have 200 naira to give him.
All right, welcome back. Still Dailies today right here on 99.3 Nigerian Info. And of course, we expect to be joined by our guest, Majeed Dahiru, public affairs analyst, Nigerian Info analyst. And we'll be doing justice to the newspaper headlines. But please feel free to call the numbers usually advertised if you'd like to have a say on any of today's paper headlines. Numbers include 0201-277-0993, 0201-277-0993. That's the first number, 0201-277-0993. Then the second one, 0201-465-7190. 0201-465-7190. Third number, 08095975805. 08095975805. That's the number to call and have your say. All right, give me a second. Let's see if we can get our guest analyst on our virtual platform, and then we'll put him on. I'll play a couple of voice notes here. All right, front page of today's The Nation. PDP convention, IAO protests forgery in letter to INEC. It seems it's from frying pan to fire for the People's Democratic Party. I've told you that the party is gone. In my opinion, I don't know if you agree. National Secretary seeks probe of suspected cloning. So clone his signature. Battle rages in National Working Committee over legal advisor. So they have other battles they are still fighting. Government targets $75 million or dollars in Flutterwave's $250 million listing or dollar listing. Senator, actress, wife accuse each other of drug abuse violence. Senator, actress, wife accuse each other of drug abuse violence. That should be Regina and Ned. Really not interested, sure they all made up their minds to move their private life. Can deal with it privately. Free Kanu now. Protesters adamant despite police red alert. English maths compulsory for O levels as federal government. Ondo's youth seek sack of NDDC board member. These are stories from today's Nation. Let's begin by taking your calls. The numbers we advertised earlier while trying to get our guest. I don't know if he's joined in already. Let me see. All right. Daily Trust. Alleged coup plot, ex-governor under watch, more officers picked. Alleged coup plot, ex-governor under watch, more officers picked. Seems to be an interesting story. Nnamdi Kanu protesters dare police. PDP convention, Iowa alleges signature forgery. Protests in U.S. over Trump's policies. I think they call it No King's Match. How terrorists, or Donald Trump calls it Hate America parade. Yeah, it depends on where you stand. Hate America. How terrorists killed 6 soldiers in Bono ambush. A really sad one there. Really sad one. May the souls rest in peace. And The Guardian. Farmers in limbo as bureaucracy stalls 50 billion naira tractor rollout. FG reverses policy on maps as parents teachers protest. So is it compulsory or not? ASU confirms talks with federal government team as strike enters 7th day. Coup denial not enough. Stem rising anxiety, discontent. Stakeholders tell federal government. Middle Belt Forum raises alarm over renewed killings in Plateau. Alleges genocide. ADC says defections can't save APC in 2027. Oh man. NAFDAC rallies manufacturers to homegrown vaccine production. And Kanu, victims of separatist violence. Others oppose planned protests. Okay, so, well, the protest is going on. Don't know what they can do about it, but it's going on. Anyway, we have calls coming through. Let's see who we have on the line. 99.3.
Good morning, Kofi Bartels.
Welcome. Who do we have, please?
This is John in Ikota Villa Estate, Lekki.
John in Ikota Villa Estate, Lekki. All right, welcome.
Yes. regarding the FGs and this, I mean, it has been there right from time, so there's no debate over it. So they should just leave it at that. Then regarding the one of Nnamdi Kanu and Regina Daniels, that he said they should keep their this thing, they should leave it privately. They shouldn't blow it out in the open. Because now they've blown it open, so a lot of people will suddenly become interested. I mean, they should deal with it privately. And then that's
you're joining me to not be interested in what they do, their private life, right?
Yes, you are not interested.
I'm not.
Yes,
okay.
please.
Okay.
Then as for the $75 million that FG is targeting some floaters with, I mean, they should tell us what they intend to do with that money. I mean, it's not about putting eyes on anybody. They should tell us what they intend to do with the money. Because, I don't know, a lot of huge amounts are just floating everywhere. Nobody knows what is being done with the money. They're not telling us what they're doing with it. They're not even giving us account. I mean, they should be able to put record of it on social media. Let people be able to download it and have a look at, okay, this is what they've done with this amount of money. This is what is left on that money. I mean, they should be accountable to us. That is part of democracy.
You're right. All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Kofi Bartels.
Thank you. I wish you the same too as well. All right. I wish you the same. Please keep the calls coming through. 0201-277-0993, 0201-277-0993, and of course 0201-465-7190. 99.3.
Good morning, Kofi Bartels.
Yes, welcome. Name, location, and headline of choice, please.
Emeka is the name from Satellite Town.
All right, welcome, Emeka.
My take is on the land protest today in favor of the release of Nnamdi Kanu. I granted that it is not this administration that arrested Nnamdi Kanu. The government is a continuum. I'm appealing to the president to, in the spirit of national healing and reconciliation. Hello? I'm appealing to the president that in the spirit of national healing and reconciliation, they should seek a political resolution of this issue of Nnamdi Kanu. The continued detention is not helping the country as a whole. I wouldn't want this protest to degenerate to something else. I pray it goes on peacefully, but Mr. President should look at the crux of the matter, and that is ensure that justice is done.
Okay.
Just as we have other freedom fighters and agitators working freely, and people are negotiating with bandits in the north.
All right.
Let him see a possible political resolution of this matter so that we can at least understand who are criminals and those who are the true agitators in the southeast.
Thank you very much.
So, Mr. President, please,
thank you.
National reconciliation.
Thank you.
Releasing on the Kanu.
Thank you very much. All right, we have Majeed Dahiru joining us. Majeed, apologies, that's from a technical issue from our end. Public Affairs Analyst Majeed, Rankadede. Yeah, I can see your cap. Welcome. All right. Let's. I hope you had a good weekend, and I'm sure you're up bright and sparkly and strong today. It's great to have you join us. Let's go straight to the hot topics. Federal government denying that there's been talk of a sort of a coup attempt, and on front page of today's Guardian, it says coup denial not enough. Stem rising anxiety, discontent. Stakeholders tell federal government. And if you want to just take a few details from that, this is what it says. That the dust is yet to settle on the polity, or in the polity, despite a strident denial at the weekend by the defense headquarters of attempted plots to truncate the Fourth Republic. It says, yet all eyes are on the president this week as government officials shrug off anxieties and concerns over coup rumors. So that's what it's saying. The writers to that, ADC accuses government of pushing narratives to distract Nigerians. ARG, government should not rely on military assurances alone. Rearrangement of security architecture needed. Coup rumor will continue as long as Tinubu fails to change tactics, Yoruba Ronu says. Clean up Aso Villa to help your administration succeed. Okay, urges. And finally, democracy louder but less effective, Shomi argues. Sir, your take on this?
Okay, I'm one of those who believe that nothing can justify a military intervention, nothing can justify a coup. No level of bad governance within a democracy should justify any attempt to plunge Nigeria into the dark days of military dictatorship. I'm a firm believer that the day Nigerians themselves wake up from their slumber, and the day we have a well-guided, a philosophical, morally upright opposition, it can galvanize enough of people power to thwart, to neutralize, and to circumvent any form of electoral subterfuge by underperforming incumbents trying to rely on their powers of incumbency. I believe that people power can dissolve any of such machinations within a democracy. And so for me, whoever is not happy, and I know a lot of Nigerians are not happy with the current administration or the state of our democracy. I think the solution is not and will never be in a military dictatorship. The solution, rather, is to deepen democracy in Nigeria. You see, let me say this today. Our democracy suffers from two elements. One is failure of government. The other is failure of opposition. Sometimes we focus so much on failure of government without realizing that the reason why government is failing most times is that there are no alternatives to what they are doing, and they know. And that is actually the case in Nigeria today. It has not been as bad as it is today, where you have no alternative at all in the politics. You see, I say this because if you look at the UK, we are one of us, so to say, Kemi Badenoch is the leader of the opposition. You discover that there is as much scrutiny on activities and her performance as the leader of the Conservative opposition party in the UK as it is on Keir Starmer, who is the Prime Minister and the head of government. That is, the media, the civil society, the citizens hold both opposition and government equally accountable because they know that one reinforces the other. And without one, the other will become tyrannical. In the US today, for instance, there is this talk across the media spectrum in the US that the Democratic Party must reinvent itself. Otherwise, the Trump era might outlast Trump presidency. So there is talk about, look, come up with new ideas, go back as a party and all the American people. Now, if the ruling party is not performing well, we have other parties in the system. We have parties in the parliament that are not of the ruling party's talk. We have parties that are controlling some states. Can a Nigerian tell me the difference between any political party that is controlling one state or the other? The difference between a state controlled by the APC and one controlled by the PDP. Can anybody tell me the difference? Fundamentally.
The party logo.
That's all. That's the only difference. Go to the National Assembly. Can you tell me the difference between the conduct of an APC parliamentarian as different from a PDP parliamentarian that is in opposition or Labour Party?
Absolutely not.
But when you look at the South African Parliament, I don't need to tell you what Malema and his EFF represents. As a Nigerian just watching SABC and seeing a glimpse of their parliamentary session, you could tell what Malema and his folks stand for.
They're a thorn in the flesh of the government. Yes.
Exactly. You can tell what the DA stands for. You can tell what the ANC stands for as well. So Nigeria is suffering from a case of double jeopardy, failure of government and failure of opposition. And to fix failure of government is to fix the opposition. Once you do that, people power will galvanize you to power, because those you think are going to send to re-election are part of the people power network as Nigerians themselves.
But we saw
they will refuse to do it.
We saw a bit of people power in 2023.
And that is why I've been in pain that part of the failure you're facing today, part of the citizens' inertia, part of the apathy, part of the deciding to face today is the failure of the Labour Party MPs and other elected officials who have betrayed the obedient democratic revolution that happened in 2023, which gave Nigeria an opportunity to have consolidated on our democracy. I had the deception, I had warned, I had cautioned that because this party was prepared to national limelight, national prominence, to become the third largest party in parliament, and its presidential candidate became third in the national election, something that was phenomenal. I had cautioned that the MPs, members of parliament of the Labour Party, for those in the Senate, they must be truly distinguished. For those in the House of Reps, they must be truly honorable. And those that were elected as governors will be truly excellent in their conduct. You know why? Unlike the PDP and the APC and other conservative establishment parties that bought their way to power, the Labour Party enjoyed free votes, free campaigns, volunteer activities as never seen before in the history of this country. So they have no reason and no excuse to betray this base that defeated APC, the strongest hold in Lagos, defeated PDP, the strongest hold in Abuja, to see them to power.
Right.
Unfortunately, nobody listened, guide them properly, and today people are now feeling that, okay, now if you don't want Tinubu and APC, what if we made the same effort we made in 2023 and some people get there and behave exactly the same way?
Okay, but
that those who said it there behaved.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. We need to also fix opposition as much.
All right, Majeed, let's move on. Let's move on from this military story. There's a lot in today's Daily Trust. For instance, they say an ex-governor is under watch. This is so interesting. It reminds me of the 80s and 90s when you'd see in some of the papers, Tell Magazine, Newswatch, the news and all that, of some of these stories. It seems we're back there. We didn't mention coup, DHL, and then they sent some people are urging the military to reveal identities of the officers involved. Let's move on. We'll have more time to that maybe later. Today is the 20th anniversary of EndSARS, the EndSARS massacre. There's nothing on it on the front page of today's Daily Trust. I can't see anything on it on the front page of today's Guardian. The Nation newspaper certainly doesn't have anything on it. I can't see, let me see that, anything on it. So what are your thoughts on that 20th anniversary of EndSARS? And I want you to marry it with the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest that Shore, your friend, is organizing today. I think they should be on the road by now. It's at 7 a.m. Police are still on red alert. You have a court order that says they should not get near any government building. And Shore said that order has expired because he was never served. What are your thoughts on today, EndSARS 5th anniversary? That's the massacre. And then the protest today by Shore Kanu.
You see, the EndSARS protest was an attempt, a commendable attempt, by the young people of Nigeria from across all divides, north and south, east and west, Muslim and Christian, young men and young women, to come together for once, to defy the conspiracy of our leaders, to perpetually keep us divided so that they can rule us in infinitum. They came together and demanded, under the banner of EndSARS, essentially end bad governance. That was actually what it was at the end of the day. It wasn't about just the police force and brutality of the police force. It was about ending bad governance. It shook this country to the foundation, and unfortunately, the government of the day, rather than leverage on this, to even use the ruling party apparatus to incorporate the energies of these young men and women, their organizational skills, phenomenal if you ask me, into mainstream politics and hand over the country to the next generation. They decided to destroy that trinity. They decided to demarket it. They decided to witch hunt EndSARS protest. They deployed thugs to chase away young men and women, educated, exposed young men and women from all strata of society, from top to bottom, from the highest to the lowest. They chased them off the streets, silenced them, injured them, and at the end of the day, the hoodlums that this government and the past government has created, the hoodlums, the hungry, the angry, the frustrated, the hopeless, the helplessly hopeless, motley mob, on whose behalf, unknown to the government of the day, these young men and women we are speaking for in a civilized language through protests, came out when they saw that those who were speaking for them, who they thought the government would listen to, and government has dispersed from the streets using thugs. So the real hoodlums came out and overran the streets of Nigeria. I'm making this point that followed after, because there was a propaganda war that was launched by the government of the day.
Yeah, so Majeed, we lost you. We lost you for a second there. And we said the real hoodlums came out and what?
And overran the streets.
Okay.
Because initially they stepped back and saw that these young men and women, educated young men and women, exposed young men and women from middle-class families, from rich families, from educated families, we are speaking for them as Nigerians that have been perpetually marginalized and relegated to hopelessness, a helpless form of hopelessness.
Yeah.
Because the government introduced thugs to disperse these children from the streets. These ones went gaga because they felt, okay, the people that are speaking for us, we have silenced them, we have dispersed them, we have injured them. So they came out and vented their rage. Now, I made this point because this rage, this rioting, wasn't part of the EndSARS protest. The rioting was as a consequence of government's mishandling of the EndSARS protest. Because when these young children were dispersed from the street using all means possible, the hoodlums, the hungry and angry hoodlums that are in their millions, an army, a large army of millions of hungry and angry hoodlums, came out to ventilate their own frustration in the best way they could. The only thing that saved Nigeria from a total collapse at that time was because these hoodlums discovered warehouses where rice and other foodstuffs were stored. So it was the rice that they stumbled on that momentarily calmed their belly. And gave government the breather to move in and began to promise change and reforms. So the EndSARS protest remains a watershed in our history. It remains an important and epoch-making event that shaped the 2023 election, because if you observe, the obedient movement that arose later during the electionary period had elements of the EndSARS people who now decided to use the ballot box to effect positive change.
Majeed, before we move on to Free Kanu now, has justice truly been served?
No, well, I wouldn't say it has been served, because the government is still living in denial of what happened at the Lekki toll gate. As we speak, there is a concerted effort, I think by the past government anyway, to obfuscate what really happened at Lekki toll gate. Again, they came out later to claim that they used blank bullets to disperse those children from the Lekki toll gate. But as an ordinary civilian watching the volley of bullets being shot at these children, it will take an expert to know whether or not it was live or blank bullet. But what we witnessed, what the whole world saw as streamed online, was a volley of bullets being released by men in military uniform against a protesting crowd.
All right.
To see the words of the victims against the government. So government has not actually admitted that, okay, a massacre took place or killings took place on such a scale that can be called a massacre. Okay. Government has still not agreed or admitted to that.
In other words, justice
has not been served.
Great. Well, Governor Sol, I think at some point said that 2 people died. But let us move on to Free Kanu now. Sharia has been on with this. We've seen him going to markets to mobilize traders. He wants to see 1 million people on the streets. Some Southeast leaders are behind him, but some are a bit quiet and silent. What are your thoughts? Some have accused him of, trying to use the plight of the Southeasterners to further his political ambition.
To chase clout.
To chase clout. Thank you for using the right word. And it's been a battle between him and the police over whether he has a right to protest at government facilities or not. Your thoughts, sir?
Okay, well, protest in a democracy is guaranteed, is allowed. Our country allows to protest as long as it is peaceful, as long as it's organized. And the police has a duty to monitor protest and make sure that it doesn't go out of hand. And that is the role of the police. It's not to prevent protest, it is to make sure that they manage protests in such a way that it does not turn violent, it does not disrupt other people's activities, and you simply allow those that are protesting to air their opinions, ventilate their frustrations in a manner that government can actually hear loud and clear. But on the issue of Nnamdi Kanu, I think we have to be careful. For those who are sympathetic to him, it is important that we are careful not to complicate issues. Especially we have an opposition figure like Showore, who has been, a pain in the neck of the government. I mean, he's still facing a trial now for calling the president a criminal or so. Somebody who is not such a friend of government. A government might now decide to harden his own stand, thinking that this is all part of his attempt to extend his political influence by doing this. So the government itself might now react in ways that might be detrimental to Nnamdi Kanu and his cause. I think for a matter that involves Nnamdi Kanu, something that has to do with cessation, self-determination of one of Nigeria's most important sections of this country, I think it should be taken more seriously than just mere street protests. I think that first, the government itself should hasten up the trial of Nnamdi Kanu and give us a verdict whether or not he's guilty of terrorism charges or not. You cannot keep somebody in detention for this long and you're still dragging your feet about his trial. I think the trial should be hastily concluded, or let's say speedily concluded on one hand. But if for any reason, because his problem is also political in nature, if also the government decides that there are other political solutions it can adopt without necessarily sacrificing justice for victims of some of the activities of the separatists in the southeast, as some people have raised concern about, the government can also strike a balance. I'll be very reluctant.
All right.
Calling for the release of anybody that the government itself has branded a terrorist.
All right.
Because I'm against amnesty for bandits in the north and terrorists in the northeast. But the government knows what is on its charge sheet. If it thinks that it does not have enough evidence to conclusively prosecute this young man and wants to now adopt a political solution, because like I said, this is a political problem actually.
Yeah.
The government should come up with a template to do that. But I do not think that raise pressure will get government to cave in. It might harden government stand, and that's my fear, and that's my worry.
All right. Very quickly, the front page of today's Nation, no surprises. PDP convention, INEC will protest forgery in letter to INEC. In other words, the Nation is saying PDP in disarray. They didn't say it directly. And this is what they're saying. Forgery allegation raised by PDP National Secretary Senator Samuel Anyanwu against the party leadership has deepened the crisis ravaging the main opposition party ahead of its November 15 convention in Ibadan. Will that convention hold, Majeed?
Only God knows, and the courts. And even if it holds, there will still be court cases challenging the validity of the held convention. The PDP has entered the crisis mode that it might not recover from before 2027. And that's why more governors are like to leave the PDP. Because for the singularity of uncertainty of platform, I mean, especially for returning governors, they have to leave. There's no certainty of platform. Who will sign your form? You can go to a convention or a primary election now, and somebody go to the Supreme Court and validate the entire process leading up to.
you have a Zamfara and River State again.
Exactly. So PDP has entered the crisis mode that it may not come from. And we predicted this, Kofi. When PDP violated zoning in 2023, yours sincerely said it clearly that the PDP ship will sink into oblivion in post-Buhari era for committing this mortal sin, because the wages of sin is death.
All right, but we have to leave at that. You've said it also. The PDP is on its way to the mortuary. Maybe you are saying. Majeed Dahiru, thank you very much for your time, and of course, it's been a pleasure having you. Sincere apologies for the earlier, technical mix-up, but we'll do this again better next week. That's Majeed Dahiru, Nigerian Foes analyst, right here on Dailies today, and we'll go for a quick break, bring the news at 8, and then we continue. Stay with us.
Every heavy rain feels like another flood warning.
And of most importantly, the court has ordered the arrest of former INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud. Labour Party leader calling on INEC to scrutinise candidates' certificate.
No Iyaloja general in Edo. Every market has its own Iyeki.
After all that has happened in Gaza, is Gaza still a physical place or a symbol?
The Turumbu administration and its minister, shame to them.
You see this our bow and go syndrome? It'll be the death of us.
News, sports, and talk that keeps you in the know. Stay with us. It's 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.